kindly handed a little slot of time to talk to you this morning in a bit of a poetic way. So this is coming from kind of personal experience, lived experience, as well as professional. I have worked in the care sector and in the mental health care sector specifically. So I've just kind of consolidated my thoughts and feelings from kind of a few different perspectives, and hopefully there'll be some things in there maybe you hadn't thought of, you might disagree with. Let's have a chat about it. So just to say as well, I am currently living with PTSD, and it's been probably one of the hardest weeks for me since this all began. So this has been a real challenge to get this out and make it happen, but I'm pleased for the challenge. Thank you for giving me something to focus on. And yeah, anyway, I'll stop waffling now and get on. So I've called this the fundamentals. You know when you feel lost for words, with nowhere to turn? We may feel trapped, hopeless, isolated, in a downward spiral, thinking, how will I ever get out of this? Truth is, we're in the grip of a mental health crisis. The fight is real and the time is now to ask how we found ourselves here, unable to cope with the demand or even understand the sources of our traumas. What causes us to become so desperate, distressed at having to jump through hoops, else risk losing out for not meeting an ever-raising bar of criteria? 1 in 4 will refuse the support they need, maybe just because they turned 18 or lost out in the postcode lottery. Ever-increasing waits create frustration, and delays mean declines. But sometimes time is in short supply. We can't deny our system is under duress, being pressed to provide more whilst being invested in less. But when suicide is a leading cause of death, we are left to wonder why only 11% of NHS funds go to mental health care services, and less than 1% of that amount for our youngsters. And despite mental illness accounting for 23% of the burden of diseases, that's a glaring gap right there. Would it be fair to say our system is not fit for purpose, steadily being purchased by the state? But that's a poem for another day. What I'm really trying to say is that demands far outweigh provisions. We need to make some decisions about how we envision our path ahead. Instead of the bare minimum situation we're living in, we need to be taken more seriously and delivered proportionate means that can reasonably meet and deal with demands. But we've been asking for long enough. It's clear to me that this is about more than just money. It's not just gaps in funding, but gaps in understanding. What we really need is a revolution in perception, a paradigm shift on our priority list. Let's just imagine if our society held in high esteem the care industry in the same manner it does its military. And I don't mean calling healthcare workers heroes, no. I don't mean lip service or the claptrap of empty gestures. I believe our hearts have been arrested, led to feel more invested in the business of war that causes trauma in faraway lands than we do in the healing hands here at home. And when we are selective with our respect, it reveals gaps in our collective perspective. With morale and self-worth in short supply, there's no wonder why there's resentment, with work overload and support run dry. Satisfactory service is a high hope in these circumstances. I will just say I'm no expert in any way except in my own experience, and I believe that of everybody. We are masters of our own reality. Permit us more agency. Only we know our full story. Uncut, single shot, complete with negatives real, and all the emotions we'll ever feel. So often we conceal what's going on inside, so let's not stigmatize. Let's not pathologize. Let's instead begin to normalise the idea that our responses to stress are a natural strategy of survival. Let's address the limitations of language. When we talk of illness and disorders, it can cause more anguish, as we languish in the idea that there's something inside us to fear, placing us in a box labelled broken ones. I'm not denying it's helpful to identify issues, but diagnoses do not define us, do not undermine us. We should not have to pay the price in a system that is oversubscribed and under-resourced by being overprescribed medication as the cure. Whatever the shortcomings, we will call them out, and every time we shout, we'll be louder than before. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It was really eye-opening.
Thank you.
Really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.